By order of the Blob, Nigel Paul Farage is declared an enemy of Britain. All good citizens are bound to do him harm if they are able. This was obviously the message of the Labour conference.
Yes, straight out of HBO's Rome. In
Exactly.
fact. Yeah.
Exactly. We're not going to bore you with the clips from David Lammy calling him a member of the Hitler Youth, or Shabana Mahmood saying that he's worse than a racist, or Starmer. Like, we're not going to bore you with all of that, but it's pretty obvious that Farage has been declared as the ultimate enemy of the state. And the thing to remember is that...
So funny. Sorry to interrupt, because you're on such a good flow, but this is just so funny. Like, he's the Hitler Youth. No, that was over before he was born. He's worse than a racist. What does that mean? Because, as far as I can tell, you guys think racism is just the worst thing that can be done.
Yes.
And then it's like, right, he's just an enemy of the state. It's like, yeah, but everyone hates you. And he's way in the lead, and that means the entire country is the enemy of the state. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Sorry, carry on. It's just so ridiculous.
It's... the thing is that the divisions on the right are important, but they matter less than what people would like you to imagine. So if you were to sort of look at the guidance for things like Prevent, or if you were to look at the guidance from the state when it comes to different kinds of terrorism, well, extreme right-wing terrorism is characterized as cultural nationalism, primarily anti-Islamic and anti-immigrant, white nationalism, racial separatists, and white supremacism. These are all lumped together as enemies of the state under the existing regime.
Cultural nationalism.
So essentially, civic nationalism.
Liking my own culture and preferring my own culture to other cultures.
So if you were to say that Rishi Sunak is in fact English, and that he is fully assimilated even though he's a Hindu, and that he is part of the nation that is Britain,
culturally,
then you are a cultural nationalist and you are part of the extreme right-wing terrorist movements.
Welcome to the club, boys.
Exactly. So whether you like Nigel Farage or not, he has become the leader of the right. And what he needs to remember is that he is fully an enemy of the state.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it couldn't have been any more clear at the Labour conference.
It couldn't have been more clear.
You are our enemy.
Exactly.
Nigel Farage represents everything we hate, and we're going to come after you with everything that we have. And Nigel took that as me street mobs. No. It's the institutions.
Exactly.
That's what's going to come after him.
Exactly. So in this document here, Sacred Violence, the enduring role of ideology in terrorism and radicalization, you read that and you assume that it's referring to the jihadis.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like they're talking about the Islamic State.
Yes, they are not only talking about the Islamic State.
Of course not.
They are also talking about Nigel Farage. And he has to accept... Yeah, hey, I don't make the rules.
I know, but
I don't make the rules. But these are the rules. This is what government documents are saying.
They're also talking about Nigel Farage.
He believes that Britain has a unique culture.
Yeah.
He believes that this culture does include other ethnicities and other races and so on and so forth.
Sure.
He believes all of the right and correct things as a civic nationalist. He is an enemy of the state.
Amazing.
Mental.
So this must be the starting point for Nigel Farage. This has to factor into his calculations.
And you could see it in his response video.
Yes.
Because he was like, okay, well, we're going to teach you a lesson. As in, he accepts he's the enemy of Islam.
Yes.
Come the May elections, we're going to teach you a lesson. We're going to go, okay, so it's like, okay, good, but you can act more confident in this, Nige, because you hold all the cards.
Precisely.
Like, they are afraid of you. You don't have to be afraid of them. You just have to weather the storm.
Exactly. And when you look at
just
this...
a quick thing as well. Imagine if Keir Starmer sends the Gestapo around to his house and arrests him in the middle of the night, like he does with all of his supporters.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, exactly.
Donald Trump is going to flip out.
Yes.
Like Donald Trump will like, right, I'm invading. It will not go unnoticed.
No.
So Farage, and Starmer knows that he can't do anything of the sort. So Farage actually is in a position of quite broad license now to come out and say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to win. I'm going to do this. And you're not going to touch me.
Exactly.
And when we win, I'm going to ruin your entire system.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. The problem facing Farage, when you look at this kind of document, this wasn't written by, people in parliament or people in cabinet. This document is evidence that the ideology that declares Farage as an enemy of the state has permeated the entire structure of the state.
No doubt. No doubt.
So he's not going to be allowed to govern in any way. He's going to end up in the same position as Trump won in the first couple of years, where every single lever of power refuses to respond to him and tries to thwart him at every opportunity. The NGOcracy, the blob, the media, the establishment, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, but all of the levers of power, the entire bureaucracy, is going to be working together to thwart everything that Farage tries to do.
This is what Curtis Yarvin calls the cathedral. They all have the same belief system, and so they all move in the same way.
Exactly.
And Farage has to have a plan for this. He has to be prepared.
There isn't one yet.
Yes.
And the fundamental problem is that there clearly isn't one yet. If you're going to replace this body of actors, you're going to have to look at, for example, this document that's detailing what is meant to be done to support migrants and refugees more effectively. And these are the NGOs and the organizations and financiers that are backing it.
Let me scroll down, just because this isn't the limit of it, is it?
No. This is absolutely not the limit of it. Fourth Valley welcome, freedom from torture, friends of the drop-in for asylum seekers and refugees.
I wonder what
Borderlands.
I wonder what English.
Borderlands.
I wonder what
Rainbow migration.
Yeah, but what's English plus?
Good question.
Right.
Good question.
I hope not.
Indo-American Refugee and Migrant Organization.
Yep. These entities, the Jesuit Refugee Service, who I have some respect for.
The Jewish Council for Racial Equality.
Yep.
Clear it out. Clear it out.
Yeah, just defund all of this.
So is there a plan on the part of Nigel Farage to actually fight the influence of these groups?
Swindon City of Sanctuary? Oh, not on my bloody watch.
Yep.
I'm looking that up. I've never heard of that.
Rainbow migration, Latin Americans women's rights services. Like, why would you...
What are you doing? Congolese Association of Merseyside. Oh, deport.
So the issue here is that there is a massive establishment that has huge amounts of finance that is able to move against Farage if he tries to address the issue of immigration, if he tries to address the issue of welfare, if he tries to address benefits, if he tries to address the judiciary. There are similar numbers of organizations, all with very deep pockets, with funding coming from the state, that are going to be working to paralyze him and to make sure that he cannot take any action.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, I think we're stuck with Farage in this fight.
Yes. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. It's a given.
He's milquetoast. He doesn't go as far as should be gone.
And that's
not
we've
enough.
got all our objections to Farage,
Yeah.
but they have denounced him.
Exactly.
They have stipulated Nigel Farage represents any kind of patriotic feeling towards the country.
Yes.
That's what they've what's interesting is that Farage hasn't filled this body this form that they've created.
No.
But they have imposed it upon him.
Yes.
Like at the Labour conference, they were constantly denouncing everything on the right and saying, right, that's Nigel Farage. It's
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
he's not, but he's got no choice now. But
Exactly.
This is the battle that is being waged, whether you like it or not.
And remember, this isn't about him. He's a civic nationalist, fair enough, but he is therefore described as a cultural nationalist and part of extreme right-wing terrorism.
It's the same with the Tommy Robinson March. It's not about Tommy.
Exactly.
Like, you can't get 1 million people out if it's just about Tommy.
Exactly.
It's something bigger, and people are going to it because it's something bigger.
Exactly. So what I wanted to sort of begin with proposing is a couple of points. Firstly, do you have a plan and an A-team who is able to handle these kinds of institutions, who is able to cut through that red tape, to cut the Gordian knot that paralyzes any kind of political action, that removes sovereignty from Parliament, and that ensures that no matter who you vote for, you get shit liberty?
Yes.
Is there a plan to address this? And secondly, is there an A-team? Is there an equivalent to Project 2025 that goes through CVs of tens of thousands of people and decides this one is a good candidate for this position? Is there a plan to punish enemies and reward friends? Or is it simply that you want to sit as prime minister and allow your legacy to be failure? There has to be some kind of Project 2025. And to be able to do that, Nigel Farage has to be able to get over the word racist. He knows that this word is being used to instigate violence against him. This is correct. This is correct. This is not enough. He can't just sit there in a crouching defensive position saying, don't call me racist, you're trying to motivate people to attack me, blah, blah, blah. This is true, and this has been happening for a very long time.
Which is why you've been attacked.
Which is why you've already been attacked multiple times. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why people celebrate when you are attacked in public, which is why you have to travel by car, you can't take public transport. This has been a given for some time. So now is the time for you to reach out to potential friends who equally scare the establishment, who are described as racist, who are described as cultural supremacists, who are described as cultural nationalists, whatever it is.
And if Brexit hadn't happened, that might be more difficult to do.
Yes.
But look at everyone who was on your side in Brexit. There were economists for it, there were political scientists for it, there were all sorts of people who are very well educated and obviously on side,
yes,
who supported Brexit. They're all there on the table waiting
yes,
to be taken. Like these are the people you want.
These are people waiting for leadership. And you're stuck with them just as they are stuck with you, no matter the differences between you. Yes. This is the objective reality.
But the vanity of the differences is surely something we can leave in the rearview mirror at this point, because things are so bad.
Exactly.
Like the government has declared war on at least half the country.
Yes.
The government has actively declared war on half the country, because when polled, 44% of people want no more immigration and millions to go home.
Yes.
So Keir Starmer's like, right, you don't think that they're English. Obviously, we don't think they're English. But that means that we're at war with the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He literally declared it.
So you have people who are already being targeted by the state. I mean, I'm now preparing what to do if there is a knock on my door because of something I said on X. Everybody in this office is prepared for this. You know, everybody expects this at any moment in time. Nobody's going to be surprised when it happens.
And it's happened to lots of our friends.
And it's happened to lots of our friends. You saw Paul Golding getting detained because he had a van saying...
Northern Variant, Morgoth, Academic Agent, Callum have all been detained by terror police and more.
Yes.
Like this has happened like to loads of people that we know and that we're actually personally friends with.
Exactly.
So it's definitely going to happen to us at some point.
Exactly. So we're reaching out here in a Christian spirit, or at least I speak for myself only, but I would encourage everybody in this country to reach out in a Christian spirit and to accept that even if you are a lukewarm civic nationalist, you are an enemy of the state. If you say that having 4 wives is probably bad for society, you are therefore a civic nationalist and a cultural supremacist. You are an enemy of the state. If you say that blind hatred towards Jews is a bad thing, you are an enemy of the state.
They're going to take objection to that.
They're going to take objections to that, I know. Shabana Mahmoud might take objections to that. She was cheering on exporting the Intifada, globalizing the Intifada. So at the end of the day, we are all in this together. Me as a friend, as an outsider, the rest of the team as British people, but we are all in this together one way or another. So there has to be, at this moment in time, some bridge building to develop an A-team, to develop a plan, to put in place people who can take over the Home Office, who can take over the Treasury, who can take over as Justice Minister, who can take over all of these various small and mid-sized and positions, and also top positions.
But also has a sense of who has to go from those.
Precisely.
Right? That's the thing. Because what you will have to do is surgically remove large numbers of people from the civil service.
Yes.
They will just have to go. You will just have to fire them. Yeah. And this, you have to have a replacement for them, and you have to have people in charge of doing that who have a sense for, that guy's the problem, that guy's fine, that guy's the problem, that guy's fine, right? You have to have that.
What Trump learned and what was implemented in Project 2025 is that people with a big grievance against the system are going to be the best candidates because they are going to be your allies and they will work for you to succeed even if they disagree with you on some details.
And they want it.
And they want it.
They're
and
not
they
just
want it
being
badly
paid.
enough.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're not just being paid. They're not just hired help. They want it.
They have skin in the game. They've lost enough. They are constantly under threat from Starmer Stasi. They understand the stakes. And they are therefore committed. People like Lowe, people like Ben Habib. These are people that must reach out to Farage and that Farage must reach out to. Because the alternative isn't going to be a good one. So let's sort of try to agree on 4 points that might form a unified plank for the civic nationalists, for the ethno-nationalists, and for everybody in between who thinks that immigration is too high, who thinks that there is a real problem in how Britain is changing, who thinks that something must be done, otherwise Britain is going to end up in civil war. I just put out an episode with Dan on how Britain is becoming like Lebanon, is heading towards civil war. Please watch it. I'm serious about this. The points of agreement. A nation is for its people, no matter how you define them. If you define it to include Sunak, if you define it to include Kemi, if you define it to include whoever, fair enough. But a nation isn't for everybody outside of it and inside of it. A nation is for the people who are inside of it.
And just to be clear, that's the primary point of contention that Keir Starmer has.
Yes.
You notice he said, I'm building a Britain for all.
Exactly.
As in, literally, it's for the British people, however they're defined, but also for foreigners.
And for everybody who manages to set foot on British shores, this state is for him.
Yep.
There has to be an agreement that a nation is for its people. There can be disagreements over the definition, but not over the principle.
Yep.
There has to be agreement that the government has ignored this idea for very many decades.
Yeah.
And kept
I think that's pretty universal.
I think that's pretty universal. There has to be agreement that there are enormous numbers in Britain who cannot contribute, will not contribute, do not contribute, and that the British do not owe them a livelihood. It can't be that half of social housing in London is going to people born abroad. That can't happen. Even if they have pieces of paper saying that they're British, and I have one too, there has to be some reality. Either you contribute or you don't. And if you're not contributing, that piece of paper doesn't really matter. If you're genuinely English, then this is England's problem. You are England's problem, even if you are lazy, unemployed, not working, dependent on benefits.
And that's what shame is for.
That's what shame is for.
That's what we will shame you for being a parasite on benefits.
Exactly.
But it is shame within our culture. That's the
But
thing.
it's not shameful to someone who thinks you're an idiot for not exploiting this.
Anjam Chowdhury, I believe, defended him receiving benefits by saying that this is jizya.
Oh, well, there we go.
That he is collecting taxes from the British as a good Muslim invader.
Just an enemy then.
There has to be agreement that these people don't belong in Britain and shouldn't be in Britain. And that it's not the responsibility of the Brits to keep on paying them and funding their 3 wives, 4 wives, sometimes more, and providing for them. And last, there has to be agreement that people in Britain should speak English. Like
Bare minimum, low bar. But
this isn't revolutionary.
yes.
This isn't Nazism. This isn't rabid ethno-national. This is elementary.
Yes.
This is elementary.
But if you're going to contribute to the society, you have to at least be able to speak the dialogue of that society. So
You have to at least have a job.
Well, yeah,
You've got to at
you've
least-
got to speak English to do that. So like it. Your
Well,
previous,
do you
previous point
need to speak English to have a
predicated on-
job? That's
No,
the
but you
thing.
should, right? Like that's
Should, yeah.
So yeah.
So if these are the basic points of agreement and they can be stated as points of agreement, then policy can flow from that.
Yeah.
The policy can be that if you do not meet these requirements, having a piece of paper doesn't change the fact that you are not Britain's burden to bear. You are someone else's burden. Maybe you're owed charity, but you're owed charity at home, in your own country, because charity
from the
begins at home.
And even then, even if you're here and there's a private charity that's like, okay, there's people on the streets, we'd like to help. I might donate to that.
Yep,
But I'm currently being robbed by the government constantly.
exactly.
And so I don't want to donate to a private charity because
Exactly.
I'm already being robbed.
Exactly. So there can be a process here that doesn't involve sending vans to round people up. The process can be you titrate benefits. You say that over the next 3 years, these groups are going to have their benefits removed gradually. And there can be incentives. If you leave in the first year, you get X amount of payment per adult, X payment per child. This is going to be much cheaper for the state than a lifetime of welfare.
And it's also far less invasive.
And it's much less invasive.
There's no good argument against it.
Exactly. And the best part about it is that you can then leave it to Keir Starmer and his ilk to make the argument for why people who are foreign and are on benefits should remain in the country. Let him make the argument.
Yeah,
let him crash and burn.
They already have. It's racist and immoral.
Well, I love it.
Exactly.
And then immediately implemented a similar policy.
Exactly. Let him keep screaming racism. Let him keep trying to mobilize the state and Antifa and the leftist loons against you. But that will never be a political argument. You will win the argument, and you will unite the ethno-nationalists and the civic nationalists behind you, at least temporarily, until the problem is not that bad. And the problem is so bad that I have good information saying that there are already checkpoints in some communities to guard against foreign men with bad intentions towards young women. This is late in the game if you are thinking about civil conflict. This is pretty late in the game. And so you must find a way to reverse some of this stuff. Explain clearly that you will deport every single foreign criminal immediately. Let Starmer make the counter-argument. Say that families can be deported together, that citizenship can be revoked collectively. Because if you've sort of raised a terrorist, or if you've been raised to be a terrorist, odds are that you are going to raise another terrorist. Let them make the counter-argument.
The indefinite leave to remain thing was quite a good start, actually.
The indefinite leave to remain thing was a very good start. But if you keep on pushing, you will get Labour to denounce you as a racist while implementing your policies.
Which is what's happening right now.
Which is exactly what's happening. So keep on pushing instead of going into some kind of defensive crouch. There's no reason to be defensive. There's no reason to be afraid.
You're winning, and you're not even on the attack.
Exactly.
You're winning.
Exactly.
The Labour conference was the most defensive, just hyper-aggressive, wounded animal backed into a corner that I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Like they're just, oh God, Nigel Farage is going to take everything and destroy everything. And Nigel's just sat there. Like, he's not doing anything. Like, if he was on the march, like leading, 50,000 men down the street being like, yeah, we're going to repeal this. We're going to
exactly.
Like, I'd understand their fear, but he's just in London in his tower, just relaxing.
Exactly. And for Nigel to be able to do this does involve doing some pretty basic things. Like saying that the police showing up to arrest Pete North or Steve Laws or Paul Golding or all of the other people that are getting arrested is in fact wrong, and it shouldn't happen.
And it's a civil liberties question.
It's
not about ideological agreement or conformity. It's a civil liberties question.
You don't have to adopt their views, but you need to be throwing them a bone. Because these are the people who are most willing to go knock on doors for you. And accept that some of them will have views that you find distasteful. And accept that you will be denounced as an evil, extreme, right-wing terrorist by the state, even if you don't do it. Like, the game is up. You're already on a terrorist list. They can't make it official because they're afraid of Uncle Donald.
But what they can do is remove the security that you had, that you need.
Exactly.
Well, they've already implied that he is... That he is on that list anyway, because when Keir Starmer compared... This is the most radical fight we've ever had. We've never had a fight like this, but they've had fights like this and then they listed a bunch of them that were in Europe, and we know how they sort of circumvented those.
Exactly.
Right? And this is what Nigel is going to be up against.
Exactly.
He's going to be up against the British version of our blob trying to circumvent his win.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
And to address that, he needs allies, he needs an A-team, he needs people who have skin in the game, and the people with the most skin in the game are the people who are regularly denounced as racists.
Yeah.
And they will be denounced as racists no matter how moderate their views are. The word has no meaning. There is no operational definition of racism if cultural nationalism is part of right-wing terrorism.
I think it's also worth pointing out that people on the right, there's no point punching right anymore.
No. None.
The entire argument has now been compressed down into two sides.
Exactly.
You have to pick your side.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, whether you like him or not, Nigel Farage has become the representative of our side, whether we like it or not. We don't have to agree with them on everything, but this is the way that the battle lines have been drawn.
Exactly.
And so there we go. There we are. That's what.
And he could extend to the right the same courtesy. he can say, I don't like everything that they do. I'm not in full agreement with them. I have my differences. But on these points of principle, civil liberties, freedom of expression, the importance of British culture, some form of civic nationalism that involves cultural compliance with British norms.
The fundamental
That's
principle,
the bare minimum. And speaking English, for God's sake.
The fundamental principle that the country is for its own people. That's the thing that we can all agree on.
Exactly. It's not even a radical position.
It's not. It's
so
your
funny.
grandmother agrees with this principle.
Exactly.
But Starmer does not.
Exactly.
He does not believe that.
Exactly. So now is the time for some moral and philosophical clarity. Now is the time for some Christian charity from both sides to try to work together. The only other option will be the right trying to hold Nigel to account by developing parties like Advance, by developing Rupert Lowe's Restore movement in order to keep Nigel's feet in the fire. This is not a good way to enter into an election because you will not have the manpower required to manage the organs of the state who are all going to be militating against you and trying to make you fail. You don't want to go into this with everybody on all sides attacking you.
And in fact, this is the problem with the left at the moment.
Exactly. You are in a position for a great national reconciliation, even around your own civic nationalist principles. If you just adopt some minor, clear-eyed positions about who should be in Britain and who shouldn't be in Britain, defined by cultural compatibility and contributing to society. These are not extreme positions. Nobody's saying test everybody's DNA in Britain and make sure that they're all as English as Dan. This is not what's being said. The bare minimum is being offered to you. You're in a position to pick up the crown from the gutter and wear it if you behave in a slightly Christian way and with more confidence. And that's my message.
And it really is down for us to understand he is the one in charge. He is the one who has the crown. Like, I can't pick up the crown, you can't pick up the crown. It's only there for Nigel. And so we're waiting for you to take it. It's okay. We will support you.
Exactly.
We're not trying to overthrow you. We want you to be our champion and go out and smash all of this.
Yes.
We want you to do the job.
Yes.
So it's up to you, Nigel.
We want Middle Eastern Women and Society Organization to be completely defunded. We want Migrant Democracy Project to be defunded.
I want the Welsh Refugee Council abolished.
Exactly.
No foreign nationals should be able to vote either. This is just absurd.
Well, this is getting into the
basics.
details.
Well, yeah.
Let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
Let's start with the basics.
We can see where we fall once we've won the initial battles.
But at the very least, have a group of people who are able to run the apparatus of the state.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then we'll see what happens.
Hope Not Hate, instantly, that should be one of the things that he comes out and says, yeah, why are we funding Hope Not Hate? This is
question.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.